you guys ever to just be reading directly off the slides, all right? Because that's boring, and there's no reason for it, and there's no reason for you guys to be giving a presentation if you're just going to read off the slides. Just send it to me. I'll read it, okay? You have to do a presentation. While I'm giving this, no one should be doing anything on their iPads, all right? Okay, so first of all, this is the most important thing about a presentation, and this will apply to any class you ever take for the rest of your lives. This will apply to any class you take in college, any job where you're required to speak in front of a group of people. This is one of the most important skills there are that you can learn from my class this year. Okay? You are the presentation. The slideshow on the projector, all that is an assistant to you being the presentation. It should only add to the presentation. It should have nothing. It should not be something you rely on. So, if all the power went out in this school, you should still be able to give a presentation because you're the star of the show, not what's on the screen. All right? So I'm going to give you some examples of how to use a slideshow to aid your presentation, not to be your presentation. All right? And I'm going to do it in a format where there's some do's and don'ts. All right? Here is a don't. Okay? And I titled the top of this, Images Are Very Powerful. Because this is something that I would get from in the past as a student submission. Okay, you'd have they'd imagine there being a whole group up here. Okay, it'd be the person who's doing diet. It's their turn. Imagine this is a project on the Mexican diet. Let's go. The diet of Mexico. Mexico has very diverse food groups. Some of their favorite meals are chilaquiles, pozole, elote, mole. Next slide. That's it. Did you learn anything about the diet of Mexico? Okay, here's how you can make it a lot better and a lot more interesting. Imagine that you are in Mexico. You're on vacation. You're about to go check out some Aztec ruins. But before you go, you need to get some breakfast. Typically in breakfast, the traditional dish is called chilaquiles. Chilaquiles is a dish that is made with fresh tortilla chips, eggs, salsa or mole sauce poured over the top, cheese, and then covered with fresh cilantro leaves. If you look up on the screen, this would be an example of what it may look like. All right, so do you guys see how that's actually learning about, wow, if I go to Mexico, I might actually order that. Or I actually know what that is now. Versus just saying this is what they eat. All right, here's another example. Oftentimes in chilaquiles, the sauce is called mole sauce that they pour on top of it. Mole sauce, whether you can believe it or not, is a combination between red chili and chocolate. It's a combination between sweet and savory. All right? If you look at this picture, mole sauce is spread over across the tortillas. This is a savory and sweet sauce that can fulfill a sweet tooth and an empty stomach. Do you see you actually learned what mole sauce was there rather than just they eat mole in Mexico? All right, so use pictures because they're powerful. You can actually look at it and say, wow, I actually learned something about that. Do you think I did not have any idea what chilaquiles were yesterday? But I looked it up and said I'm going to make a model presentation for them. So I researched it and learned about it. All right, here's another thing you could do, not just pictures. All right, but let's talk about charts. All right, so here's one way that I would see oftentimes maybe someone would describe the language of China. The people of China speak Chinese. However, there are many different dialects. Next slide. That's boring. I didn't learn anything. All right, here's another way you could do it. In China, the most popular language is Chinese. However, there's a few different dialects. Overwhelmingly, more people in China speak Mandarin. However, there's other dialects such as Cantonese and many other ones that you can't even really, depending on which part of the country you're in, necessarily understand the same language. One thing that is actually similar in all the different dialects is the basic greeting of ni hao, which means hello. You see how that's a lot better than saying there's a lot of different dialects? You even know what the most popular dialect is and the second most popular, and then know that there's still other ones besides that. All right, so a pie chart or a graph can be very useful. The last tip I have for you is to be prepared. Okay, and this is one of the most important aspects of